Hello everyone, welcome again to another Duplex Android Netrunner video playthrough. This time, my Gabe criminal deck goes up against what appears to be an NBN deck very similar to the one that I played in my last game, my last post. Though I'm not entirely sure of the deck composition, this was just a random person I found on Octagon. So I did mulligan. I don't think that I could have done much with the original hand that I had pulled with two femme fatales right off the bat. It just seemed like a bad idea to keep. So it was kind of a no-brainer to mulligan and pull a new hand. The next hand I got ended up with two sneak door betas, but I'd rather that, and proceeded into the game. He immediately starts by dropping ice down in front of HQ and R&D, pretty standard opening, then throws a hedge fund down to give him an early economy boost. Again, all pretty standard. I think here I was a little conflicted about whether or not I wanted to start by running that ice and forcing him to res it, but in the end I decided to go in for sneak door beta to see if he indeed was holding agendas back, because typically corp draws at least one to start. It's a pretty good guess if you try. So then I ended up going into R&D and seeing what he's got there. Ends up being a pop-up window, which is annoying, but certainly doesn't stop me from getting in. So, and it gives him his slow trickle. I don't have the money to trash, so I end up going back into my sneak door beta through archives and into his hand, and managed to get a breaking news for one agenda point on turn one, which is not too bad a way to start by my estimation. I absolutely am in love with this criminal deck. Shaper's my first love when it comes to runner IDs, but I have found great success running this Gabe deck. You can see there he manages to drop an agenda out of hand and score, probably realizing that either he doesn't have any ice to ice up archives, and so I was just going to continue to run there until I scored it, and that he could just easily score that, so he gives his turn up to do that. So yeah, I find that this deck pretty nearly plays itself. It's just sort of a see what you draw and play it out of hand, or small card combos. It does have a viable rig that you can put together, but right out of the gate, the deck is about pressure. It's about running. It's about forcing the corporation to res ice. It's about forcing the corporation to protect all of his central servers, because as you can see here, archives is almost immediately a vulnerability for him, and the fact that he does his standard opening move of ice up HQ and R&D means very little when I can simply. So I ended up running HQ to see if he would res the ice, and he ended up not resing it, because I assume because he had nothing in his hand, or because I think he could pay for, well, I guess I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly what ice ends up being there. I think he does res it eventually. So I throw the ferry down. It's more of an insurance policy than anything, and draw into some more cards. Because he's iced up now, I kind of want to see what options I have available to me. The forged activation orders is always kind of nice. Oh, okay, there we go. It's a TMI. So that forces him to at least spend the 3. I don't have the money to really boost my link to a point where it's going to de-res TMI. So that puts us, TMI is a great piece of ice as long as the runner doesn't have the money to force the corp to de-res it. It's a strength 5, so I mean the caveat of having to do the trace, especially with this and against this NBN identity, is definitely worrisome for the corp if the runner has money, but in this case I don't. So he throws some economy down and starts looking to ramp himself up. with a remote server. He's in fairly good shape here. I have one icebreaker down, but it's nothing permanent. I do get my Desperado out, which I'm very happy about. I wish I'd had it out a little bit earlier so I could have been getting those extra credits, but that basically allows me to take a free run at R&D. It gives him a credit, but it doesn't end up costing me one as long as I have the one to start, which it appears actually right now that I don't. So oddly, he spends his entire turn drawing. I think he was pretty low on cards there, and passes it back to me. An easy mark will give me some credits, and I decide to use at least one of those. Yeah, one of those to jump into R&D and see what's there for me, and it's nothing. So I draw into some more cards and grab a corroder. The corroder is going to help me get past the TMI, so it was and that's where I really want to be, is heading into HQ, so that Desperado plus Gabe's identity ability can really ratchet up my economy, or at least supplement the cost of going in there. So here he's throwing down some 3 cards, another subsidiary data fort plus the 2 cards installed in it. It's very tempting to think right off the bat that I should be running that, but I kind of waffle on it, and I end up not running on it at first, thinking maybe I can try to bankrupt him a little bit. I end up hitting I'm pretty sure he accidentally moved his ice. He moves it back later. I end up hitting an Enigma, I think it is, and nothing I can do to get past that at this point. He advances whatever in there 2 times, and then leaves off, which is a little curious. So it's not guaranteed that that's an agenda at this point. I'm not exactly sure what kind of deck he's running still at this point of the game, so I'm a little leery of that 2 advanced card in that remote server. So I get into HQ via my corroder. Don't trash, don't have the money, but I do manage to get my 3 credits for making that run successfully, and I decide it's too tempting to hit that. Toll booth wipes my only 3 credits out and then ends my run, which is a bit of a pain, but it cost him 8 to res it, so he's not exactly doing too well at this point either, just economy wise. But you can see he spends his entire turn gaining money. He's got he doesn't have a significant trickle economy, but he has at least some, and passes it back to me. The modded is a nice economy card, supplementary economy card, especially when I pull a Yogg right next. That'll help offset the cost of that when I go to install it. Pass it back. He seems a little conflicted at this point on exactly what he wants to do. Takes him a good minute to think about it, and he ices up that remote. So I think at this point I was pretty sure that was an agenda and that he was doing his best to protect it, although I also remember thinking, why didn't he just score it? So it's still not guaranteed to be an agenda. He might be baiting me into a expensive trap. So first 2 clicks to grab some cash, and then I head into HQ again. It ends up effectively being free as long as I have the money to pay for it, I think. Pull out nothing. Decide to derez toll booth. So that was the whole point of that HQ run, and that has got to be a bit painful to watch as the corporation as a toll booth derezes. So I pass it back to him, and I can see him chewing on what exactly just happened there. He's got to either protect that server if it is an agenda. He throws down another remote server, which really makes me wonder what he's got going on in there. I feel at this point that if he had an agenda in there after having the toll booth derez, he probably would have scored it if he could have. So I was pretty sure that it wasn't an agenda. But I think my mind is changed at some point for some reason. I can't remember exactly why. So an account siphon, which really puts him into a tough spot, because this allows me to do whatever I want, and I decide, I think at this point, that I want to see what's in there. He's got little money to play with, and I was pretty hoping very much that, beyond hope, that he couldn't res anything. He does res another TMI, which I am able to derez, and so therefore do so, costing me, you know, a good amount, five credits, because I'm working with no base link at this point. He can't res the toll booth, so it's free game from there, and it ends up being an agenda. I was almost positive I was falling into a trap, and he had a red herrings back too, so I trashed that. He couldn't pay for it. He was out of money. That must have hurt for him. He didn't see the account siphon coming, I think, so he figured he had a bit of a and so I run the HQ again instead of account siphoning, just to access cards and actually score yet again, which adds insult to injury there. So that was an amazing turn for me. It could have gone very easily the other direction if it had ended up being like a Project Junebug or something. I felt, and often when I'm playing criminal, my mindset is take the risk. It's worth taking. The other nice thing about account siphon is that it combos really well with data leak reversal, which I just pulled on him and just milled 3 cards off of his deck into his archives. He smartly destroys my data leak reversal, but the damage is done. 3 cards that not only I will be able to access all at once when I hit his archives, if I hit his archives, but that he no longer has direct access to. I absolutely love the data leak reversal, especially in this deck, which honestly doesn't really mind if it's tagged for the most part. I have to be pretty careful against like Wayland tagging bags and big decks that are big on heavy tag damage, but in this case it doesn't seem to be the case. I think I was really considering using forged activation orders on that toll booth at this point, but decided it was probably just a better idea just to run his archives and see what he had in there, and that's it. That's all. As always, please rate, comment, and subscribe.